The one of one is missing.
I knew something was up.
Pop, that's almost twice as much going for the same price.
I just freaking love that rated rookie logo.
Doing more buying.
Which one of these 5 quarterbacks has the worst set of pass catchers to throw the football to?
Guess how much I sniped this for an auction?
Number to 5, you dirty animal.
I'm telling you, these optic on-card autos are money.
Andy, Football Card Quest Nation, this is why we grind. This is why we do what we do. Because week 1 is here. And we're going to chat all about the NFL card market. We want to shout out nooffseason.com. They have just, our guy, Paul Hickey, just did a huge interview. So make sure you check that out when he drops it, nooffseason.com. But Andy, we actually wanted to talk just a little bit, and we'll get into the NFL as well, college cards, right, of the next year's NFL draft class. It was pretty insane, some of the prices on some of these guys.
Oh my gosh, you ain't kidding, man. Like, I mean, and some of these guys don't have very many cards. And some of them don't even go to big schools. Like, I wouldn't consider Boise State a big school, but Carter, you got to tell me if they're going to make the playoffs this year. Their running back, here, Ashton Jeanty, puts up 6 touchdowns. Look at some of the money that people are spending yesterday in Buy It Now on literally the only cards that are available out there for them. 2024 Leaf Pro Set Metal, Chrome Fire Auto, 1 of 1, Boise State, $250, 1 of 1, Gold Ice, $300, Buy It Now. And then people are buying the Sage cards as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so good, but level of competition obviously mixed in there as well. Like, he's just got so much bounce. And Boise State, of the non-big traditional schools, you go back, Boise State was the biggest story in college football back when Jared Zabransky and Ian Johnson were there. But Genty's definitely more than likely going to be the first running back taken in next year's draft. Maybe it's Quinshad Judkins, maybe it's somebody else. But, man, people love them, some Ashton Jeanty. And before we get into the NFL, Andy, Territorial McMillan, T-Mac, the really good wide receiver at Arizona. Obviously, Travis Hunter, who I think deserves a Heisman Trophy if he continues doing what he's doing, because he does play both corner and wide receiver. Obviously, level of competition for both of these guys were way down. They looked amazing. And then all these great quarterbacks, Andy. You got Cam Ward, a guy that'll be a big-time NFL draft prospect, Quinn Ewers, Jalen Milroe, so on and so on and so on. Some of them in these Bowman first products. So, Andy, the college card market is getting insane.
And I really love to see it, because this is only like the tip of the iceberg for what's going to happen in the NFL. Like, I'm looking at the money that people are spending and Buy It Now for T-Mac, as you told me, because I just really struggle saying this guy's name. The Bowman first base cards are still only a couple dollars for wide receiver here. We start getting into the serial number cards like the Sapphire Gold out of 50, $70 for a college uniform card. That's very, very good. And then you have something like the Bowman Chrome University here that from the National that is out of 5, but doesn't have like a rookie card logo. It doesn't have that clear indication as a rookie card, but we know it's a college uniform card. $550 in a Buy It Now yesterday for T-Mac. I mean, look at this one out of 50 from Bowman Best, $275. So for the rookie auto and the lower serial numbered cards, I mean, they're paying big money for these good players in college football that are going off. So singular performances, beginning of the season here when hype is the highest. It's just, you love to see it because the market is so sensitive right now.
One thing, I sigh because I'm frustrated at myself. The good thing about the college football schedule, Andy, we talk all about week 1 in the NFL and all of that. Most college teams play nobodies in week 1, okay? Not like my LSU Tigers, who lost to Brad Nolan's USC Trojans. Most teams don't play anybody week 1. They don't. So guess what that means, Andy? They put up these 6 touchdown games. they go for 350. Everybody looks good. The new play callers, the new transfers. So we probably could have done a better job. I say I could have done a better job of predicting this and buying and getting those out. So that's one thing I'm definitely going to do for next year, which is, I prefer college uniform cards oftentimes anyway, because I'm a college football guy. There is money to be made. Our guy, Chad Dyer, was loaded up on Carson Steele cards. And, well, his best cards are his college uniform cards right now. And Chad's made some money. So it is very interesting. And, Andy, as we know, the NFL draft is as big as a lot of just NFL games. And, these cards have a chance to if Cam Ward is a top 5 QB in the next draft class, these cards have a chance to skyrocket potentially even more.
Yes, I agree, because go look at what Bo Nix, Bowman Chrome University, with the first logo out of $4.99 has gotten up to a couple $100. Go look at Caleb Williams and the other guys, the top first-round draft picks that have all played the preseason. Some of those guys are now starters. Go look at what those are selling for in like the $200 to $500 range. And here we have Cam Ward, who was at this card, the Bowman First Refractor Auto out of $4.99, was at $26 on August 29th. So last week, someone made him a very good, very smart play here, $26, because the latest buy it now today is $65. So that's over, 100% increase. And you could see how September 1st, it went to 50, and then September 3rd here to 65. And this is just on this card because I can get some good sold data on this card. I can kind of see a trend to give you a percentage increase here. But there's still a lot of room for this to go up, especially if Cam Ward goes on to become a Heisman, Heisman candidate, and then a first round draft prospect in 2025.
So a little bit later, we have some interesting stories from my Vegas trip over the weekend. Spoke to a few guys that will have gold jackets eventually, and I talked to them about football cards. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Andy, for right now, we do want to get into our bread and butter, which is football cards from the NFL perspective. Obviously, guys like Caleb Williams and stuff, there's still a lot of college uniform cards of those guys that are selling decent, but now there's so many Panini now, Top Now, week one things that you could push out there, even if they are like unlicensed, that people are making moves for, Andy. So what to you, football card wise, have you seen for week one that has stood out to you the most?
I'll tell you what stood out to me the most, how much, and there's a big variance here, but I was looking today at how much these 2024 NFL RPS first look autos are selling for. Okay, here's a guy that's actually trending down right now on Sleeper. If you look at Sleeper and you go to wide receivers and you look at players that are trending down, A.D. Mitchell is down 10,968, whatever their arbitrary point system here. He is rostered 98% of leagues, but and they're playing Houston this weekend, but he is trending down. However, because of the scarcity around his pro uniform card market, this is a single one. By the way, we'll talk about this in a little bit. My opinion on what the seller did here, listing two next to each other.
I hate that, dude.
Yeah, this is just a single card. This is just one of the pro uniform NFL RPS first look autos that out of 49 pre-sale that we got for $25 off Panini's website back at the end of May, that sold for $70 over the weekend. And so what I'm seeing is sleepers in this category, like A.D. Mitchell, selling for big money right now on these cards.
Andy, if you can, I want to share my screen just quickly.
Sure.
I want to answer this question from Hector because I do like Ladd McConkey. I was a big fan of those Georgia offenses. And look at this. I mean, people pre-sailing these Panini instant access autos. I mean, that card is, I kind of like this card with the green leaves.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then you scroll down and you'll see that Ladd McConkey's already changed his auto, right? He has this elaborate Ladd with the 84. And now he's like, okay, I'm signing a lot of stuff Let's just give him the good old fashioned LM.
Oh man. Yeah, let's just hope he doesn't get wrapped up into a auto pin. Okay, what does his RPS first look like? Scroll back up.
Right
Okay,
here.
there's a couple. All right, and see this. So this seller took an interesting strategy here. He's got him rolling out an auction ending Saturday evening at 7:30. I don't think that's ideal. We can get into that hobby tip of the week. I'm be very interested to see what these end at. I'll have to definitely watch them, but I do see an LM, but I see a difference in the LM and the signature there from that top and the bottom one. That's good.
Yeah. Man, I wish autos were consistent. I do recommend everyone go see those viral, that viral Tom Brady explanation as to why he changed his auto. What was it? Was that the the Fanatics event, Fanatics Fest?
Mhm.
And I just love the philosophy of changing your autograph. I have a lot of very, very early Odell Beckham autographs, and with like one of the prettiest penmanships, he'll do his full name, and now it's like, no, we're not going to do that. So there you go.
So yeah, Lad McConkey, Carter, real quick. He's interesting. I'll tell you my observation of Lad in the football card market right off the bat. He's going to have a lot of different cards. I think the Chargers, with them spending their early first round pick on an offensive lineman, and offensive linemen just don't generate the same amount of hype. They didn't draft a quarterback, so they spent their money on an offensive lineman, a new head coach, and Lad McConkey there at the beginning of the second. So it's like Lad is going to have a ton of different cards. I've already seen him in probably 5 to 7 different Panini instants. And so that's just, scratching the surface. He's going to have the Donruss Elites coming out. He's going to have the Luminance Year 1 autos coming out and those cards. So I will say very quickly, you're going to want to get rid of those college uniform Lads and get into his pro uniform cards. A big difference there. And the pro uniform cards are going to be where it's at. And I think that's why it's so important to follow those RPS first look autos and see what those close at. The AD Mitchell's closed at 70. If these are closing at anything 70 or under, they're a buy, a big time buy. They should be going for like 150, but we know Justin Herbert really hasn't played at all this preseason. I mean, we've seen like one highlight from Lad, and that's it,
I am so interested in this Chargers offense with the Harbaugh experience. The one thing the Chargers offense has is a bunch of targets, right? Keenan Allen, gone. Gerald Everett, I believe he is gone. So there's targets to be had. And if Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnson were the only guys really ahead of you, and my guy DJ Chark, I think could have a low-key good season this year. Lad McConkey should be able to eat if he is indeed good. So I am excited about Lad McConkey. It's a really good question, Hector. Now, I want to shout out once again our friends at the nooffseason.com, CGC, the whole crew. If you want to get your question into Andy before we get out of here, the best thing you could do to support the analytics and all of that is send him a super chat or join us at the Football Card Quest Patreon. Just go to nooffseason.com, upgrade you, and guess what? You're with us. Or you could go to patreon.com/footballcards. All right, Andy, where do you want to go next? Because for me, we focus so much on the young guys, the rookies, and all of that. But, man, I'm excited about Trevor Lawrence. I'm excited to see if Bryce Young's going to be better than what he was last year. I'm excited about Will Levis. So who's exciting you as we go into this week 1 battle from a football cards perspective?
Well, I'll tell you a guy it's crazy expensive. I love to kind of like look at these anomaly type of players that are so interesting in the football card market, because once you look at them, it really puts things into perspective and kind of gives you an insight. So I want to look at some Taysom Hill sold items here.
What?
And
you couldn't have. You could have given me 150,000 guests, and I would have never have gotten. I thought I was going to get. Oh man, we're going to chat about some Patrick Mahomes. We're going to chat about some Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. But Andy's like, no, we're diving deep. Taysom Hill.
When you see how expensive his cards are, so here we have his rookie ticket auto, PSA 10 selling for $200. That's about what the Garrett Wilson rookie ticket auto PSA 10 sells for. Okay, so when in terms of hype and demand, it's pretty fascinating. But that's because Taysom Hill has so few rookie cards. This guy is only printed in just a small handful. Actually, it's literally like the rookie ticket auto and maybe one other variation. But I don't even think that's in Saints uniform. You notice here the uniform he's wearing is not even a Saints uniform, but it does have Saints logo on the card.
So weird.
It's such an interesting card, and you can see how much they've gone up over the course of the offseason here, as Taysom Hill is like highlighted about being able to this player that can do it all, this player that he's a gadget player. He's listed in Sleeper as a quarterback and a tight end. And you got Derek Carr there. You got Spencer Rattler that made some noise this preseason. But Taysom Hill is one of those guys where, because his supply is so rare, look at this. From August 2nd, well, if we back up here and go, let's say we go from June 30th, right? June 30th, rookie ticket auto sells for $60 twice. June 22nd, $60. June 30th, $60. And then we go July 17th, $80. Okay, nice little $20 increase. August 1st, that's out of $199, $115. August 2nd, the same one, $80. Then we go up to $100, another one unserial numbered, and then we get up to PSA 10, $200.
Okay, now I know I just said join the football card Patreon. All right, Andy's going through a move, right? You're finishing up your move. You work your job and all of it. I have no idea how you even thought about Taysom freaking Hill. Like, what the hell is going through your mind? And that's part of the flipping aspect of football cards. It's one of my passions as well. I'm more of a collector than a flipper. But that's why you should join us, because a lot of the money you can make flipping is finding that next diamond in the rough. Now, everyone likes Taysom Hill, but Andy, I want people to really get what just happened. The reason why Taysom Hill is getting hyped up so much is because he's been the Saints' second best running back, right? The Saints are on the Saints are not good. They have a bad offensive line, they have a bad quarterback, they have a bad head coach, and Taysom Hill, Andy, Taysom Hill is getting hyped up. So that's why you should always listen to Andy. He dives deep. He finds every single player that you could potentially think of. And that still blows my mind, Mr. Kaysen.
Well, and so I think the general strategy behind that is a lot of times I'll go through like a list of players and say, which one has the least amount of supply? And then Taysom Hill was the guy. I'm looking at the tight end rankings. I'm like, which tight end has the fewest amount of possible rookie cards in pro uniforms I could get my hands on? It's Taysom Hill. And so then you look at it and you're like, oh, his red zone role is like expected to increase significantly due to injuries on the roster, like you mentioned. So he's going to have a big role in the rushing game, potential quarterback play, to potential being a tight end, like all this stuff. And so it's like all of a sudden, boom, it doesn't take but a couple transactions for his cards to go through the roof. That's the kind of guy I want to get my hands on. So in the same regard, I'll give you guys a play of the week at the end of this episode that I think fits that similar mold, but in the running back position that I think has a lot of upside.
Let's go. Okay, let's get into hobby tip of the week. I'll go first, Andy. This is very, very, very simple. So I was in Vegas. I was sitting next to a poker player, and I could tell he was worth a lot of money. He doesn't really like sports, but he saw that there was a lot of money in sports cards. And he started talking to me, and I told him what I did. And he was like, hey, is sports cards a thing? And I was like, it is. And he was like, okay, I'm going to go buy boxes. I'm going to go buy a ton of boxes and just rip it. So here's my thing. All right. Most of you watching this, okay, know a decent amount about sports cards. Okay. We have new viewers every time we do the show where they say, hey, I'm just not getting back into it. But I would say a good, Andy, 60, 70, 80% of your viewers are people that are in it and have been in it for at least a year or two. Would you say that?
Yeah, I think so. It's a bit good average.
So when you get asked this question, this is what I always tell people is, first off, it is extremely complicated. I always tell them, hey, it's not just about spending a lot of money and ripping boxes. So if this would be my hobby tip, okay? If someone asks you, hey, I want to get back into sports cards, okay? Let them know that, yes, it's fun. Yes, it's awesome. But there is a lot that goes into the actual money making aspect of sports cards, right? Because he started asking me at this poker table. I could tell he was worth a lot. He had a big chain, wrist. So he probably has like assistants and stuff like that, whatever. But he was like, oh, if I rip a big card, I have to ship it off and sell it on eBay and all that stuff. Like, yeah, it's a process. So yes, you want people joining the hobby, but if someone asks you, hey, how do I make money doing this? Make sure you let them know that there are so many different layers to it, right? This isn't like, buying a piece of art and just selling it, right? There's the aspect of putting it in a top loader, shipping it out and all of it. And he was like, you know what? I really appreciate you giving me God's honest advice. So there you go. That would be my hobby tip of the week, because as the season starts, people start seeing football cards go up and they're like, I want to go get into it. Tell them to get into it, but understand that it is a process, as it is with most things. All right, Andy, hobby tip of the week.
Yeah, so many different angles, right? Like
Right.
I find so much fun in buying the singles and then deciding what I want to do with it from there. And especially playing fantasy football, knowing like, I want to target this player. I'm going to start this player this week. Let me see how I can parlay that with football cards and make a play on it. Does it make sense from like a 3 to 5 week perspective? That would be my one of my hobby tips. Let me give a couple things real quick.
Let's go.
But one of them, like if you're playing daily fantasy, right, and you're getting some DraftKings rosters ready for week one, and you're getting your official week one roster ready for any of your sleeper leagues, et cetera, remember that when you buy the card off of eBay, you're likely not going to get it this weekend. So if you're buying in anticipation for this weekend, it's going to be difficult. You're going to have to do it on like electronic platform like comc.com. So really in the football cards hobby, you want to kind of plan at least a couple weeks out, right? And so as a seller, buyers are very sensitive right now to your shipping turnaround times. You try and do your best job on getting the card out as quickly as possible. And then also right now, grading companies realize this. Most of them do. I want to shout out CGC Cards. They are sponsored this channel, but at the same time, Carter, objectively, they have increased their turnaround time on bulk submissions to 5 working days right now. 5 working days. I feel that they've done this in anticipation of the football card season. They understand how quickly people want to get cards back. So right now in their bulk submission, 25 card minimum, $11 per card, $500 max declared value. 5 working day turnaround time is incredible.
CGC, baby.
I'll
tell you this, Andy. Once again, I want everyone to know this, that I do this show, but I'm happy to be a part of the show. I don't get any money from CGC. Okay, I've done my own research, and I understand everyone's always going to say, well, PSA is going to get the maximum. We've never told you that that's not the case. Okay, what we are though doing, while CGC supports Andy here, is giving you an alternative, right? Alternatives are great. It's good for you. Okay. And the fact that you're going to get a card back in 5 days, give or take a day or two, but more than likely 5 days in grading, Andy, that is insane. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's really good, really phenomenal. So the other thing I want to highlight, Carter, is the seal product that's selling best right now on blowoutcards.com. You got 2022 select Asia edition boxes. That is their number one bestseller, a price of $119.77. However, like you mentioned, I'm fading most of these boxes because of the hit rates being low, and the fact that just like select, mosaic, even optic's not bad, but the hit rates on the blaster boxes are just really low. And I would much rather buy the singles. So just like to highlight it. But I also want to highlight here from our Discord server one of these flips of the week. I want to show you what you could do as an angle with Optic. Let's look at this flip right here from Dr. Hudat. This is Steve's card. We're going to open this image in a new tab. This is a Justin Herbert Optic Purple Shock single that he bought for $31 back on December 20th. He graded it, came back a PSA 10, sold it for $246. Fantastic flip there on a PSA 10 flip. Now, same token, Carter. One more shout out Bob here, Boggy in the Discord server for flipping this Hayden Hurst. All right, so we're going to talk some deep sleeper tight end and talking about the Chargers, right?
Yeah.
Hayden Hurst, Optic Contenders. He sniped it in auction for $16.50 and sold it for, let's see what he sold it for, $40 in a buy it now.
There you go. We'll take that, baby. The Herbert one is very impressive, right? Those purple shocks I've always loved. I really, really, really do. But I love the deep cut ones as well, Andy. Hayden Hurst. I think he could eat with the Chargers this year, man. There's so many targets up for grabs.
Yeah, so many targets up for grabs, a lot of ambiguity. So, I mean, I look at those guys that trend down. So, limited supply, but also it's like, if I see players that are trending down, you got to ask yourselves, why are they trending down so much? Like, why is Kirk Cousins been trending down so much? I think there's just because there's a lot of ambiguity there. I mean, he expects to be on the field, but have we seen him in the preseason? No. Have we seen him? Like, we know that he's coming off of an Achilles tendon tear November 1st last season. So until we actually see it, the hobby's is going to react to it, but they're not being proactive. And I think, Carter, this kind of leads into but we want to make some bold predictions here for the season, man. And I think one of them is the fact that the Atlanta Falcons are going to be a top 5 offense in the NFL. Bold prediction. And I don't want to say it because my team is in the NFC South. But I think this is going to be a top 5 offense in the NFL. This is one of the teams that's going to blow people's socks off.
All right. Andy, I love you. Andy, I love you. You legitimately, outside of doing this, you'll become one of my closest friends. Okay. So I'm going to push back though. And I push back on you hard pretty often. And that's okay. Top 5 NFL offense. All right. So let's do some process of elimination. Would you say the 49ers are a top 5 NFL offense next year?
Potentially.
No, come on, Andy, please.
Yes. Okay. Well, 40, but they're not in my top 5 for 2024. Not right now.
You got a little 49er fade.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You are telling, Andy, you have grinded your rear end off to build the subscriber base, the football card base. You're telling our viewers that you think the Falcons have a better offense this year than Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Go ahead. Roast me in the comments. Roast me in the chat. We'll see. This is part of making a bold prediction. I got to stick my neck out there, and I got to plant my flag somewhere. Listen, I think the 49ers defense is phenomenal. I think it's going to carry them a long way. I think their offense is going to be okay. They're going to be just fine. Top 10. But when I think of top 5, I don't think so, man. I mean, let's face it. Would you not agree that Bijan Robinson is a top 5 running back in the NFL?
Yeah, he's probably number 4 or 5 for me, but yeah, sure.
Would you have put the Rams offense in the past couple years in the top 5 in terms of offensive scheming and offensive play calling.
Yeah, they're probably just outside of my top 5. So, yeah.
Zach Robinson comes from the Sean McVay coaching tree. He's the new Falcons offensive coordinator.
Okay.
Their offensive line consensus ranking is a top 5 offensive line. They have a top 5 running back. They have a top 5 play caller. Now they bring in Kirk Cousins, who's a 4-time Pro Bowler, and he's the best quarterback they've had since Matt Ryan. And you've got great weapons. I mean, look at Kyle Pitts. Look at Drake London. Look at Darnell Mooney. I think all the writing's there for this. It's just there's no concrete evidence from training camp and preseason to say, yes, we've seen it on the field somewhere for this to be a top 5 offense. But I think they're going to blow people's socks off, man.
Right. So part of doing this is projecting, right? Like for instance, I think Jamar Chase is going to go nuclear when this contract season, gets when this contract gets taken care of. But that's not really a bold prediction. No one would be shocked by that. I will legitimately be shocked if the Falcons are a top 5 offense. I would be a little shocked if they were a top 10 offense. Okay. This is a lot, quarterback coming off the ACL, no preseason reps. They also didn't give Penix a lot of preseason reps, which I thought were interesting. It's hard for me to get to top 5 offense when your second best wide receiver is Darnell Mooney, right? Kyle Pitts, we'll see. If he's healthy, he's obviously going to be pretty solid. Drake London, if he's healthy, I think will have a big season. I've drafted a lot of Drake London, but I just don't know if he's for sure one of like these top 10 wide receiver types. And you are right. The offensive line rankings, the Brandon Thorns of the world are somewhat excited about this Falcons front. And look, top 5 is very subjective. It doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. You're just predicting that this offense is going to be great. I don't want anyone to get hung up over the top 5 thing because, Andy, you're just wrong about that. Like, I just truly believe that is one of the hottest takes. I can't get the 49ers. 49ers are better. Packers are definitely a better offense, if you ask me. Definitely the Lions have a better offense. And that's just the NFC. I don't know if they're top 5 in the NFC, but that's not the big thing. Andy's point is making is that the Falcons are going to be really good. All right. I'm actually going to let you keep going on a roll because before I get into my hot takes, all right, go to your next one. Let's see it before we get the season done.
So Kyler Murray has never thrown for over 4,000 passing yards in his NFL career. Never. He's never thrown for over 4,000. He came close in his second year, 3,971 yards. Very close. Just need another 29 yards. This is the year he finally gets there. Healthy, coming in. Marvin Harrison Jr., this is the year that Kyler Murray finally throws for over 4,000 yards. And as a result, his cards definitely go up in value. I'm not necessarily convinced that the Cardinals are going to be contenders, but I do think that Kyler Murray is back to fantasy, like higher fantasy. Like next year, he'll probably be back in the tier 1 quarterback consideration.
Tier 1, it just depends on how you want to do your tiering. But for me, he's in like a tier 3 area. As a fantasy asset, Andy, he is the best pick you can make in fantasy drafts right now. I did 3 fantasy drafts last year, Andy. I was last night actually on ESPN. He's QB or he's overall player 91, right? And that is such an easy pick. I have already moved a lot of my Kyler Murray inventory before the season began. I wish I would have held on to some because I do think there is a chance he could be very, very, very good with Trey McBride. I'm not the biggest Marvin Harrison guy, but I do think he'll be fine. And, dude, James Conner has been good. James Conner is a really, really good running back. Greg Dortch is a really good wide receiver. Andy, you and I privately, we talk like a lot throughout the week. We're big Michael Wilson fans. Michael Wilson is one of these boring fantasy names, boring type, not the most exciting, thrilling player, but I think he could play. I think he fits in well what the Cardinals want to do. So I am in on the Cardinals. I'm with you. And one thing I like about their offense, Andy, is their defense sucks. So they are going to be in some freaking shootouts. And those are the types of games that Kyler Murray likes to play.
And look, like his optic hollow PSA 10 hasn't moved at all in the past 2 months. It's still $180. The Prism Silver PSA 10 is up 3% to a current average of $381, trend of almost 400. That's like, I mean, his cards aren't moving, so it's going to be once again very reactive to what happens out there. Some nice scarcity around 2019 product. I think he goes up a lot. I think he goes up a lot here.
All right, bold prediction for me, and Andy, you know I like to sink my teeth and really stick with my priors, right? So this actually happened in college football, and I've gotten a lot of heat for this. So there was a quarterback for Texas A&M named Connor Wigman, and Andy, he looked like ass this weekend, and I think he can be a really, really good NFL quarterback. He does a few things at an extremely high level that I look from a QB, and I was wrong. I mean, he looked terrible, and I might have overrated him. So guess what? I miss on things all the time. I am going to fade just a little bit my Colts hype going into next year. You know, a few weeks ago, I said I thought the Colts were going to win the AFC South. I'm fading that just a little bit, right? As I've watched Houston more, I've loved them. Okay. I love the Danielle Hunter edition. I think that is a very underrated addition that they had this offseason. Andy, I do a lot of Jaguars content. Jaguars look solid. They do. Offensive line issues be damned. Trevor looks good. And I think the Titans are going to be difficult. I think they're going to be a nuisance. You know, no one's picking the Titans to win the AFC South. I don't think they're going to be great. I like Will Levis. So my bold prediction going into next year is the funnest division is the AFC South. And they will continue to be the funnest division throughout the entire season. You know, Andy, it was a while when the NFC West, in the Legion of Boom, the 49ers, the early McVay era, that was the division, right? I think this year the AFC South will not only be a fun division when it comes to competitiveness, some young coaches, new coaches, good offensive lines, some shaky-ish types of defenses. It's also going to be the most important division when it comes to football cards, right? Because you got CJ Stroud, who is the darling of the hobby right now, right? Will Levis has actual autographs in this product, all this product. Same thing with Anthony Richardson. So you got 3 quarterbacks from the same class, and then you have arguably the most printed rookie quarterback of all time in Trevor Lawrence. So football card wise, there was just so many fascinating stories with this division. And every week on a football card quest, I'm going to be talking about that division because I really do love it.
I thought you were going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC North because of Joe Burrow missing all that time this year. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but the NFL gave them one of the easier schedules outside of their division. They have what's considered according to win-loss ratios of their opponents, they have what's considered the 6th easiest schedule outside of their division this year, which with a healthy Joe Burrow could lead to one of the best records in the NFL. So I thought that's where you were going, but you went with the AFC South, which is because I mean, I'm looking here. The Texans were number 13 in scoring offense last year. So a lot of people think they were like top 5 if you were to compare what CJ Stroud's cards are going for. But because of how he ascended towards the end of the season, the playoff run and everything is what catapulted him into the stratosphere. They actually have a lot of room to actually exceed their scoring expectations from last year. So I'm with you, Carter.
Yeah, would you agree from a football card perspective with the 3 young quarterbacks? I mean, that division is just I could see football card price fluctuations like crazy. Like, let's say AR just struggles in the beginning. And let's say Will Levis, Titan schedule is kind of weird to start the season. But what if Will Levis just balls out, right? You could see some nuclear movement. You could see Anthony Richardson and Levis's prices flip, right? They have a lot of similarities. The only difference is AR can actually run. Will Levis has some rushing ability, not a lot. But, Levis and AR probably had the two strongest arms in the NFL, along with Mahomes, Herbert, Allen, and a few others. I could see their prices flip here in a few weeks, even though I would take AR over Will Levis any day of the week. It could happen.
It's certainly possible. So I want to highlight a couple because I think this is an interesting perspective. I see some defensive comments out there. I think one of the interesting defensive bold predictions is to predict like who's going to have the most sacks this year. Obviously, that player is going to have a nice value in their rookie cards, potentially a lot higher than what they're at now. But the truth is, a lot of these young defensive studs, like Micah Parsons, for example, are already very expensive because, defensive players get a lot of love, a lot of hype in the hobby. So here, as you can see, Contenders Optic, Rookie Ticket Auto, Micah Parsons, PSA 10, $350. This cat has come close in previous years to the 20 sack level, the elite level that only 12 defensive players have ever accomplished of all time NFL history. And this could be the year for him. This could be the year, could be a TJ Watt year. But look how expensive his rookie ticket auto. So I compared it to Jamar Chase, the most expensive skill position player from 2021. I mean, they're very close, very neck and neck here. Jamar Chase may be slightly more expensive, but I think it's because Chase has fewer rookie ticket autos and they came out much later because of his signing process than Micah Parsons. But to compare that from a top first-round fantasy wide receiver to a defensive player, incredibly interesting and eye-opening, if you ask me. It just, once again, shows you how much the hobby's evolved over the past few years to where so many college players are viable flips and play strategies to buy into. They remain liquid. They remain profitable. If you want to get out of them, they're great cards to collect because they are liquid and they retain value. So super interesting here.
Yeah. We have a few questions about like Aaron Donald cards. I mean, like he's the best defensive player of this era. So I don't know. I've never really looked into like Lawrence Taylor stuff. I have looked at Ed Reed stuff. It is kind of ridiculous, like how cheaply, and not cheaply, but you could go build an absolutely epic Ed Reed collection right now, and it'd be just legendary, right? But it is interesting that you can go get a Micah Parsons rookie ticket auto. Okay, all right, so you have it right there. Aaron Donald rookie ticket auto for $175. That just seems weird. Like it shouldn't.
Expensive, man. That's more than Mike Evans and Devontae Adams. Just to give you some perspective there, it's not a whole lot more. Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, about that 125 range, sometimes a little bit higher. And these cards, these rookie ticket autos from 2014 struggle with condition issues from the base contender set here. So, and they didn't have optic contenders until 2016. So yeah, you don't even have that. So it's these struggle with condition. So this is very expensive in consideration. And there were sticker autos.
Yeah, and it's so crazy though. Like Micah Parsons is like double that, but I get it. He's still playing. He plays for the Cowboys. I understand the whole spiel. But Andy, I spoke to for 20 minutes. So I shared this earlier. Spoke to one Pro Football Hall of Famer and Patrick Peterson. Talked to Patrick Peterson in the middle of a busy casino, the Aria, it was about an hour. It was an hour-long conversation. But it also helped. I knew Patrick from college, and I told him, hey, you got some of the nastiest cards out there. There are so many Patrick Peterson game-worn uni cards that have grass stains on it. When I win this Underdogs Fantasy, that's going to be the first thing I buy. But one thing to keep in mind is all these legendary athletes, they have at least 20 game-worn uniforms that they just have in their closet or in storage somewhere. And he was telling me about an Aaron Rodgers game-worn uni that he jersey swapped with. Or it was either Aaron Rodgers or some other legendary quarterback. I don't remember. But also spoke with Aaron Donald's really close teammate, Andy, Michael Brockers, this weekend. And he was telling me about Aaron and how epic it was playing next to such a freaking legend. And I say this because, we're so offensive focused. I haven't gone on my defensive player card ran in forever, Andy. So I've been good about it. I think it's been like a year. But it's still crazy to me that, like, there are all these defensive legends that you can build, like, just epic. I mean, epic collections for about the same price as, like, Trey Lance cards were a few years ago. Just one Trey Lance card. So I just wanted to point that out, that defensive players, they matter too.
They matter too. And I would say that the edge rushers, so the edge rushers, linebacker position, they're better like long-term investments, whereas the defensive backs, the cornerbacks, they're more of like, I look at those guys more short-term flips. I don't know why, but we saw this price spike on Trayvon Diggs. We saw the price spike on Joey Porter Jr. last year in his rookie season. We've seen it on other players as well, where they get on this run of like this interception streak, and all of a sudden their prices go up. But we know interceptions are not very common. There's very few guys that have gone on this streak where they get interceptions every game. So it's like harder. Those guys become a little bit more like flippy, where their prices fluctuate more often. Whereas like guys like TJ Watt, Aaron Donald, they're slowly keep getting more and more expensive. Micah Parsons, what's his name in Detroit? Sorry, Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden Hutchinson's another perfect example, and he's got a ton of rookie cards where I think he's just going to slowly keep getting more and more expensive. And Carter, I think that's a final bowl prediction. Detroit Lions, Super Bowl, baby.
Let's
Super
go.
Bowl this year, 2020, 2025. Detroit the city's going to be on fire. It's going crazy.
I saw Aaron Glenn this weekend as well, defensive coordinator for the Lions. I hope, I didn't get to meet him, but I would have loved to. I hope you're right. We need a Lions Super Bowl. Not only do we need a Lions Super Bowl, we need a Lions Super Bowl with the halftime show in New Orleans with Lil Wayne and Eminem. Could you imagine Eminem at halftime of a Lions Super Bowl? That is match made in heaven. So, do you have your AFC team picked? I'm gonna go ahead and let you roll, man. Andy is on one today.
Oh, it's gonna be the Bengals. It's gonna be the Bengals and the Lions.
Okay, my Super Bowl prediction. Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders beat Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals in the Superdome. First year Jaden leads his team to the Super Bowl. He's going to be that daggone good. Mark it down right the front. I'm just kidding.
Now that's bold, and it's got LSU written all over it.
Let's go. Did see Jaden this week. I didn't get to meet him. I still haven't met Jaden as much as I'm a fan of him. Talk to people that are close to Jaden a lot, but I have still not met my guy, Jaden freaking Daniels. So I do think it's going to be really good this year. One team with a rookie quarterback that does interest me as far as like long shot Super Bowl odds are the Chicago Bears. Okay. I've talked myself into some Bears hype. This offense is going to be pretty good. They made that Sweat addition on defense. I think defensively they'll be okay as well. That's more of a long shot play. For the Super Bowl this next year, Andy, Josh Allen finally gets it done. Okay. He wins his first Super Bowl. This has been one of the best. Okay. I know it's going to be a hot take, but statistically, he's been one of the best playoff quarterbacks we've seen. I hate the Buffalo Bills head coach, Sean McDermott. I did also, Andy, meet their GM over the weekend as well. He was hanging out at the Aria. I'm going to go Buffalo wins their first Super Bowl for Josh Allen, who is a freaking legend. And the team that they beat will be Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. Buffalo Bills, Dallas Cowboys in a weird New Orleans Super Bowl. Let's do it.
That would be quite I can't see the Cowboys making it to the Super Bowl. I just
I just
can't.
wanted to do a weird one.
Yeah, I'd say that's weird.
You know what's funny? That would be probably the worst skill position Super Bowl outside of CeeDee Lamb, like in forever. Like that would really do something to me if that would be the matchup. Rico Dowdle going up against James Cook. So neither one of us picked the Chiefs, and Oi say the Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl again. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, they could. This could be the year three-peat, right?
That's why we need our dear beloved Joe Burrow to end this streak. We've got to stop it.
He's the only guy.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're a big network. We built this thing. Well, Andy built this thing. I've been along for the ride. We built this thing, but we built this thing because of you guys. So guess what? The floor is yours, folks. Give us your boldest take in the chat. It could be a football card take. It could be a take about Fanatics. It could be a take about a product. It could be a take about a player. All right. It could just be a take about actual football itself. All right. Give it to us in the chat right now. Let us see it. All right. So, Andy, it's time for play of the week. While people get their takes in, we're going to go ahead and give our plays of the week for week 1. All right, Andy, let's hear it.
Fair enough. Well, you actually, I thought you were gonna go there with one, and then you didn't. You just kind of brazed by his name, and that is because we talked about the Cowboys. You used to mention the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, and I'm thinking Rico Dowdle has got to be a play of the week, right? I mean, Rico Dowdle is one of those sleeper running backs that everybody mentioned. He doesn't have a very few rookie cards, but he does have a rookie ticket auto, and I do see they're kind of going up, but the supply is so limited. I mean, 35, and you have these like Prism. Now, I'm not opposed to this card at $6.50 because it's serial numbered, because it does have a rookie card shield. It's okay that it has a college uniform because of the rookie card shield and because of the serial numbering and the fact it's got Prism and it's from a premium set. I'm okay with it because $6.50 at least almost virtually nothing but upside. You also got a book in here on the serial number, so there's definitely some value here on Rico Dowdle when you're playing for the Dallas Cowboys.
Andy, I can't believe I'm about to give this play of the week. I've drafted Rico Dowdle a lot. He's got juice. UDFA guy, but man, this Cowboys offense, there's just so much volume to be had. So
yeah,
I'm rolling with you on the Rico Dowdle hype. Let's do it. I know I've been labeled the anti-Tua guy because I still don't think Tua is like in the hierarchy of great AFC quarterbacks. And Andy, like day one, I've always said, I was a big Tua guy in college. I don't know how it's going to work in the pros. Andy, play calling matters so much. Tyreek Hill matters so much. Jalen Waddle's going to be healthy. That matters so much. Devon Achane was the best rookie running back efficiency-wise of all time. And Andy, we haven't even mentioned the guy who scored 22 touchdowns last year, and Raheem Mostert. Offensive line should be okay. Dolphins pass rush should be fine if Chubb is okay. And I think Tua, rookie ticket auto still float around $300, $350, $400, just depending on the variation. That is just so interesting to me of a team that could legitimately go to the Super Bowl. I understand that Chiefs playoff loss was absolutely atrocious. And you're playing that game in -2 degrees. -2 degrees, right? So I am buying Mike McDaniel again. I think he wins Coach of the Year. And I think Tua is a very interesting play. And I think the Dolphins have, even though I'm still in on the Bills, I still think the Dolphins could go out there and win the AFC East this year.
Well, that's a smart. I think it's a smart play, Carter. They're hosting Jacksonville at home here, week 1, And this makes a lot of sense. They're playing at home. There's a lot of uncertainty around Tyreek Hill's status. I think this offense is kind of flying under the radar right now as well. I'm looking at a rookie ticket auto, like you said, mentioned $325 buy it now just last week. So yeah, the price points are very conservative for Tua. Has not been any increases really. He's kind of been holding steady past the past couple months, and it makes a lot of sense for him to be one of these guys that comes off to gets off to a hot start. You know, if you drafted him in fantasy, you're going to be starting him this week, and I think you should do the same thing in the hobby. I think you should have them listed for sale. So this would be my strategy. I guess the one final hobby tip here, Carter, is I would list them in a buy it now 25% higher than what they're selling for. So if you bought his rookie ticket auto for $350, I'd be almost listing it for like $550 to $600. And I would try and get some watchers, right? And then Monday morning after the game, when everybody's doing their Monday morning armchair quarterbacking session and reflecting, watching this analysis and that analysis and kind of drinking their coffee, you send those watchers an offer on your buy it now, give them a 10% discount. You end up selling the card for, maybe $500, $525, and you flip the Tuas again, man. I think it's a great strategy. And you could do that all the way down the line. The velocity optics, the optic hollows, the prism silvers. I think it's a solid strategy, man.
Okay, so we're gonna rapid fire all these takes. I do think this is important, Andy. This is a big time supporter of yours. Clickbaits just ripped my hobby box of Topps composite football and had all 3 autos missing. Oh,
that's brutal, man.
That's very brutal.
Topps composite is getting a bad rap, man. I've been sent multiple articles. Shout out to our buddy Eagle Sports Cards across the pond. He sent me this whole article that I mean, it's worth taking a deeper look because there's a lot of this happening. And a lot of people thought there's going to be like 2024 stuff in it, but it's all 2023 stuff right now. So it's really not a good look for them. So in fact, a lot of their stuff has lost value since it was originally pre-sold.
Jim H is saying the breakers are raving about it. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what they do. They're going to rave about the product that they release. Andy, Andy and I privately discuss Andy doing breaks and stuff like that at some point. Man, dude, there are just so many slimy breakers, and most are solid. Like 90% of them are solid, but the slimy ones are so slimy, right? So just keep that in mind if you are going to do breaks. All right, Andy, let's go through some of these that we start up. Hector says Zamir White becomes the NFL rushing leader. Ugh.
Oh, man, I think I missed some of these.
Oh, no. Actually, no, you didn't star that one. We'll get to that one in a second. Let's go through the ones that you starred.
Okay.
Hey, James, starting off here, CGC will be the second biggest grading company. Brad, thank you for the super chat as well. So let's go to James here.
Okay.
CGC will be the second biggest grading company by the end of the year.
Love it. I agree, man. They've only been grading sports cards since 2019, so they're trending up. They're doing everything right. I think it's just a matter of time. They're putting that consistency in, week out in the industry, and they'll get there.
Yeah, I'm always gonna like SGC back and all that stuff, but CGC, let's freaking go. Trey McBride finishes the season tight end 1 in yardage and touchdowns, says Travis.
Ooh, I hope so, because I drafted him in like the 3rd or 4th round of our Superflex fantasy league this year. So I'm really hoping so.
All right. Will Levis becomes a top 10 quarterback. Jonathan from across the pond. Eagle Sports Cards.
Dude, that's a big one, man. And yeah, I see Will Levis more than Bryce Young, which is so interesting to me because I think Bryce Young is in a better play calling system with Dave Canales, but Will Levis is not in a bad situation here, and I think that the offense is underrated. So this could be an interesting one.
Yeah,
big time value.
Once again, I'm getting hung up on the wrong thing. Top 10 QB. I don't think you can get. I don't think he could be a top 10 QB. Once again, passing yard wise, yes. I mean, Will Levis could lead the NFL in passing yards. He could, right? Because Jameis Winston threw for 5,000 yards. Will Levis could be one of these chaotic quarterbacks that play in track meet, so I like it. Rashid Shaheed to the Pro Bowl card guy, 20 says.
Hey, I think that'll happen for sure. He's good to go. There was a press conference with him earlier this week. Rashid Shaheed is good to go. He's going to be a wide receiver 2 in this offense, man. So look out for him to put up these big stat line numbers. And if anything happens to Olave, he becomes the 1. Shaheed can burn people, man. He's like the Darnell Mooney. He's like the Mooney for the Saints.
Yeah, except Shaheed's good. Chris Hayes, T-Law will get hurt, and Mac Jones will shine to show how toxic Bill Belichick was.
Oh, buddy. We've seen I think Chris is he's still high on that Mac Jones show put on this preseason.
Insane. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets make the Super Bowl. Brad Nolan. I still can't respond to your USC text. And for those that don't know, Andy, I wonder if people could pick up that last night was the first night that I slept in like 72 or like 48 hours. We'll put it like that.
Go check out Power Hour LSU, guys, because Carter's been live streaming from Vegas before the game, halftime, after the game. You were lit, man.
It was crazy.
And then Brian, I mean, you were just all over Brian Kelly. Got out coached.
Go to Power Hour NFL, though. That's where most of the people here would be interested. It's just film breakdowns. You'll love it. Hector goes Raiders win division, led by NFL OPOY. I'll tell you this. If Zamir White leads the NFL in rushing, like, he's going to get a lot of OPOY love. Like, if he did lead the NFL in rushing, he would deserve the OPOY. That would be like one of the most shocking. Like, I like Zamir White, but that would be one of the most shocking NFL rushing leaders of all time. Of all time. Like, no questions asked. But yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Raiders win division. Let's do it.
I think the Raiders are going to have fantastic defense this year. Now, we didn't highlight Max Crosby, but he's one of those guys that got very few rookie cards. So you look at something like this Crown Royal die cut from 2019. It was listed for $250. And my thing's not loading, but I'm guessing that it sold for at least 200. That's insane. I don't even think this card's serial numbered, Carter. It's insane, man. So once again, another little spotlight there to, look, the rest of this stuff is just garbage results. So Max Crosby, very few rook cards like Taysom Hill, probably even less. And I think the Raiders are going to have a good defense, man.
Let's see. Okay, one thing I do want to point out, and I think it is important because I do have like a very, very extensive sports media background. I've been in this for a while, and a lot of my viewers, Andy, have been like blowing up my Discord, like my other job, about what's going on with DirecTV and ESPN and all of that. Okay, I do think it's important for our viewers to know that, right? Because there's nothing that's going to piss you off more. Because a lot of our viewers, Andy, they only watch the NFL, right? And they might have not turned ESPN on for months, and you open up DirecTV, you don't have it. Okay, so there's a dispute going on with that. I'm not smart enough to break all of it down, but what I can tell you from Andy meeting a few broadcast executives is that these things can get ugly and get ugly really quick. So just keep that in mind. This is not a shilling for YouTube TV or Fubo or any other network that's out there. I will say this, Andy, I do miss just turning on cable and just getting channels, right? Instead of having this streaming service. And you got Peacock streaming service. You got they're going to come out with an ostrich streaming service next year. But I just wanted people to know that. So there you go. All right, Andy, we'll take a few more here, or are we done? I think, are we good?
Well, I have two more bold predictions. So I've been kind of looking on Twitter here for what some popular bold predictions are, and I think one of these are very interesting. I want to get your take on it. Malik Neighbors breaks Saquon, not Saquon. I don't know where Malik Neighbors breaks Odell Beckham Jr.'s rookie record with the Giants.
Let's do it. I'm with you. He had Eli, though, and Eli's a pocket quarterback. Daniel Jones not as good, and he runs a little. But, yeah, I can get there. Let's do it.
It was 1,300 receiving yards and 12 touchdowns on 91 catches.
And he missed a few games, too. Ugh. I think people forget, Odell Beckham, first 50 games of his NFL career, Andy, is the all-time leader in fantasy points per game in first 50 games. That's how good he was. Like, he was better than Julio, Calvin Johnson, all those guys. So, yeah, I'll go Malik Neighbors. I'm a Malik Homer, so let's do it. He breaks a record.
And then the other one was Saquon Barkley, rushing leader for the NFL 2024. Christian McCaffrey had 1,459 yards last year. Can Saquon Barkley beat that? I think so.
Ooh. Andy, I'll tell you this. As I would say there might be 2 or 3 of our viewers that have done more fantasy drafts than I have this offseason. I think I'm up to 250 or somewhere, 200, 250 drafts. The one guy that would destroy me more than anyone else is Saquon Barkley. He is my biggest fantasy fade. Oh, look at you shaking your head. And he's pushing back. He thinks Saquon is going to be Timothée Chalamet this year.
I think there's still value to squeeze out of his cards. Like, he's not from 2018. His cards could be higher. I think these are flips. I mean, he plays for the Eagles now. They're playing Friday night in Brazil against the Packers. Saquon's about to be on. Okay. Remember what they did with DeAndre Swift when DeAndre Swift got hot last season? They made him a bell cow. They literally have nobody on the depth chart but Kenneth Gainwell is like their insurance policy, and Will Shipley, the rookie, they've spent a late round pick on. Saquon's going to be a bell cow in a very running back friendly offense. I think he's going to absolutely smash this year. Look, 2018 rookie ticket autos out of 25 for 155 or out of 99 for 144. It's expensive, but I think they could get a lot more expensive because they're pretty scarce.
I don't know. I'm still a Kellen Moore somewhat believer. But man, Andy, I don't know. I think the Saquon take can come back to bite me. But Jason Kelce gone. I don't know. I just can't get there at that price tag. I just can't get there at the second round price tag. I just can't. With Jalen's rushing ability, rushing touchdowns, all that stuff. But if Saquon's good and the Eagles are good, his cards will do fine. So
yeah, I think it's like his final year. I mean, like your running backs, he's 27. He's several years removed. He's been healthy last year. I think this is his year.
So that'll do it for us. Super long episode today because it is week 1. The best way for you to contact Andy is join our Patreon, patreon.com/footballcards. Y'all, it's simple. It's just a little bit a month. And guess what? I'm going to do it. I'll do it again. And I'll do it for the first couple of weeks. The first person that signs up, I'm covering your first month. I'll Venmo you the $10. That's all it is. Like, it's not, I will happily do that. Happily. If you go sign up right now, patreon.com/footballcards. You can go to nooffseason.com and do it for yourself. Okay? So there you go. I like this from Jonathan. Taylor greater than Swift. I like that. I like a good pun.
Ooh.
I like a good pun. And guess what? I agree. I would take Jonathan Taylor over Saquon. I would. So there you go. All right, Andy, you get the last word as always. Go right on ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Super exciting times. Remember, buying right now. Try and keep those emotions in check. Try to make sure you're not Oh, unless you just want to get the card in your collection, then you do what you want. But yeah, exciting times. Appreciate everybody for tuning in today. We'll be back later this week with some live analysis, probably live on Thursday or Friday with solo stream breaking down what's going on Thursday. Pour some out for Ricky Pearsall. Luckily, he's in okay condition, man. We didn't mention him at all this stream, but he's okay. That was scary, man. I got that. I'm like, sure, this is a prank tweet, right? No, So Ricky's okay. In the 49ers, they got Brandon Ayuk on a big 4-year monster extension, so they should come out okay, man.
All right. Peace out, guys.
All right, guys. Hit that like button. Appreciate you. Peace.